So now that we know what the drawbars do, we realize that the drawbars themselves give us a lot of tonal options. Let's talk about just some very simple rules that should become obvious to you just by playing around with the drawbars, okay? The first one is pulling more higher drawbars gives us an edgier or biting sound. It makes it sound really great, okay? Makes it real harsher because it's adding those real highs up there, those octaves, okay? Now, there's a time where you want a sound to cut through the mix for a solo or perhaps for a particular run or when everything's kind of wailing. So that's you're going to pull more highs for that, okay? The other thing is pulling more lower ones gives us a lower, more bassy sound. It essentially shifts the tonal shift of the organ one octave over and kills some of the highs. So so adding more lows adds more lows, adding more highs, and it's a little bit more bassy sound, okay? The other thing that you should notice, and these are just some general characteristics, we're gonna get into some actual drawbar settings in the next lesson, but the other thing is pulling out a few drawbars gives us a mellower sound. If I only have like say 3 drawbars or 2, when I begin to pull a bunch of them out, it gives it a harder and a louder sound. Whereas opposed to, let's say, okay? So just kind of, those are general categorizations. Those are things that you should think about and some categories of sound in your mind that you should think about while you're playing with the drawbars. So the highs are kind of edgier. The lows make it more mellow. Less drawbars pulled out all the way is more mellow and more subtle. More drawbars out, the louder it's going to get, the harder it's going to hit. So think about that. And as you get to a point, there's sometimes you want to be able to write or convey a drawbar setting. And so there's a typical convention for naming drawbars in the Hammond organ genre, okay? And that is there are 9 drawbars, you can count them. And they're given a series of numbers all together with no spaces like it's in your notes, 9 numbers in a row, and they just write down the highest number visible. So full bars would be 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, okay? And so if you saw, let's say 886 0 0 0 0 0 4, what that would mean is you would pull out 8, 8, 8 from left to right. Then the next one is a 6. You only pull it out till the 6 becomes just visible. You can't see the 7. It hasn't come out yet. Then 0, 0, 0, 0 means you leave them in. And then 4 means you pull the last one out till the 4 is available. And that would be an 8, 8, 8, 6, 0, 0, 0, 0, 4 setting. Okay. And so that gives you a way to write down settings. If you were in a church setting or a performance style setting, you like a particular drawbar setting, you're trying to match a sound for the song, then you would be able to write on your notes that, hey, for the verse, this uses an 888 6 0 0 0 0 0 4. It also gives me a chance to be able to teach you drawbar settings so we can kind of understand what I'm saying when I say those numbers, okay? 808 0 0 0 0 0 4 might look like that, okay? And you say, well, why is that? Well, on a song, you have 2 registers on a real Hammond organ. Each register, right now we have basically half a Hammond, and we have a B flat and a B preset. We have 2 sets of drawbars. In this case, these are the B flat and B presets. So I might have this one, okay, which is more of a mellow sound for the B, and that's for the verse, okay. And then when it gets to the chorus, I might click. And what I did is I went immediately to this setting. Just by pushing the preset, or pushing, in your case, it'd be B to B flat on the opposite color preset. Okay. And so you can get from one setting to the next, okay? And if you want to write those down, that's the conventional preset. What we want to do is, right now, you turn the organ on. Just for a default setting, I want you to turn the organ on, select vibrato chorus, select C3, the most intense chorus effect. I want you to select on both your top and your bottom registers the B presets, okay? And And then for a basic default setting on the B preset, I want you to select 888-000-000. So the first 3 drawbars out all the way, none of the others out. And that gives us a good, mellow, jazzy sounding. Okay, so C3, and your default set is going to be the first 3 out, none of the rest. This is a Jimmy Smith drawbar setting. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But that's your first default setting when you sit down, okay? And really probably for your upper register, okay? Your right hand's going to play your lower register and your left hand's going to play your upper register. It's kind of a default. And if you don't want to understand why, try doing it the other way. It's kind of awkward. It hurts because your right hand has reached further. It kind of feels natural. So you have 2 registers, the keys up here on a real Hammond. Your left hand's on the top register, your right hand's on the bottom register. So probably a default, your right hand setting is 3 out, and probably on the bottom, your default setting is 4 out. So you have a nice bass sound. Okay, this I can split it so that you can hear both settings, but you're going to have this up here. You'll be playing these up here. So that's kind of your default setting for your right hand. The B preset, 3 out. For your left hand, 4 out. The first 4 out, all the rest are pushed in. Or 888-000-000 and 8888-000. Okay, so kind of file that away. And that's kind of your default setting as far as your drawbars. We'll leave it there for now, and we'll talk about what the other controls do, and then we'll get into more advanced drawbar settings.